Well, I don't know about you today, but I've been blessed. I've been blessed immensely. The Bible tells us that our body is a temple of the Lord. Do you not just feel the presence of God in you? So all of us together, just imagine the temple we've made in here. How massive that temple is. Let me thank Helen Mbakwe Ministries for the opportunity to share some of my thoughts on principles of wealth creation. I may be slightly contrarian, slightly contrarian because I remember very well I went back to Nigeria about 12 years ago. And one of the things I said to my wife at the time is that there's just so much prosperity preaching. It is so bad that people are being misled, in my opinion, on how to gain wealth, sustain wealth, keep wealth, and use it for the glory of God. Because the reason why God gives wealth is not for you to hold it in your pocket, by the way. Sometimes we miss that. By all means, enjoy it. But it's for you to bless others as well. So what is wealth? You know, the easiest thing, and indeed when I was much younger, is to relate it to just material things. Money, looking good, feeling good, having all the right trimmings in life and all of that. But because life is a journey, as you get on in that journey, then you understand better that life and God means that wealth is much more than just money. There's a deeper fulfillment that God shares about us. But how do we start? How do we even start? Because many of you will tell me, just like I would tell you, life is not fair. And if you think life is fair, why are some people born with silver spoons in their mouth? Can you explain that to me? I don't know. And while I was preparing for this, and I'm sharing with you the thoughts God has given me when I was preparing, which is why I said, it might be slightly contrarian, but just bear with me. A video came to my mind. I saw that video during the COVID years, and I paused and moved on. And then I shared it with my wife, and she gave me a different dimension of it. And it's by a gentleman called Ade Bajumo. Have you guys seen the video about privilege? So he gathered a group of people. I think it's a basketball coach as well. He gathered a group of teenagers, different ethnic groups together, maybe between ages 14 to maybe 20. And he asked 8 questions. He said, the first question was, if your parents are still married, so he put them on the same line, and they're going to have a race. And we're going to see who's going to come out tops. Has everybody seen that video? Okay, many people have, some haven't. So if you've seen it, please bear with me. So put them on a line. And question number 1. Remember, it's about privilege. You're going to get advantage based on the answers you give to those questions. If your parents are still married, take 2 steps forward. So a couple of guys and girls took 2 steps forward. If you have a father figure at home, take 2 steps forward. A couple of guys took 2 steps forward again. Well, if you are going to a private school, take 2 steps. If you went to a private school, going to a private, take 2 steps forward. If you have tutor classes at home, take 2 steps forward. How many steps so far? 8. So just imagine the number of people left behind now. It went further. If you don't have to pay your phone bills, 2 steps forward. If you don't have to help mom and dad with bills, 2 steps forward. If you don't have to pay college fees because of your athletic skills, 2 steps forward. And if you know where your next meal is coming from, 2 steps forward. So now look, how many people were in front? So it's all scattered now, Some people were right in front, some people in the middle, most at the back. We're talking about life not being fair. That's what we're talking about. But you see, in that lack of fairness, and regardless of where you are in that journey, the beauty of that journey is that we're blessed We may not have the privilege to have taken 16 steps forward. And when that race starts, if it was a 100-meter race, the guys at the back have lost, hands down, because the race started actually. But the beauty of the race is there's a marathon quite often. But it doesn't even matter whether it's a 100-meter race or a marathon. What is more important is that God is a leveler, and you must run your race, and you must understand the race you're running. So, whatever thought is in your mind about being privileged or not privileged, you're blessed. And like the Bible has told us, we leave every thought and purpose away captive into the obedience of Christ. So raise your thoughts up, because God is going to bless you. He has already blessed you, you just may not know. So what are the principles? For me, one of the most important principles is purpose. You hear that word used a lot. But it's the foundation. Because without purpose, you're going to waver. But you then tell me, how do I know my purpose? Because people talk about these things and it's never broken down into how to attain it. And it doesn't matter whether you're 12 or you're 82. Your purpose is the most important thing, because it's that thing that will give you a sense of mission, the energy, the fire that you've been hearing to pursue it. Is the foundation. That gives you that unwavering mind not to be swayed by all sorts of doctrines and all sorts of things that's pursuing you. So you're not on earth to just fill this space. Take your time and move on. Now, I love that part of the Bible that you've got there, because it's quite deep. This is when God wanted to build the tent and the ark and all sorts. And God didn't say, oh, let's have millionaires and let's have billionaires and let's have all of those. Look at what God said there. He said, I've chosen this guy called Bezalel, tribe of Judah. I filled him with my spirit. And guess what he's going to do? He's going to, so with understanding, with knowledge, and with all kinds of skills, to make artistic designs of work of gold, silver, and bronze. Do you know it wasn't just Bezalel that was filled? There were many, many other people that got blessed. And he gave them his spirit. Can you just see that? That God, in his own way, gives everybody something to go away with. You're not random. You just weren't dropped here. So how do you find that thing? If you're an apostolic, we believe in prophecies. Now, you have to be very, very wary about false prophets. They're all over the place. So that's why you must be discerning. You can't really, you see, being rich does not mean having money. And you mustn't pursue wealth for the purpose of money. You must pursue knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. When you pursue that, you'll be discerning. That discernment will bring wealth. Because remember Solomon, when God spoke to Solomon, God said, what do you want? What did someone ask for? He asked for wisdom. And he said, because you have wisdom, I'll give you the rest. So that's a sense, a deep sense of discernment. Looking at things, weighing them properly, and all of that. So if you never, so you're not an apostolic, or you discerned, and you didn't quite trust what they said. And be very careful what they say, because they'll say all sorts of things. Well, you have to know your vantage points. There's a very young friend of mine. He's actually super rich, much, at a very young age. He just wrote a book called Vantage, and I was so pleased. I was at his book reading 2 months ago. I was so pleased he wrote it at a young age, because it's a way of sharing. It's not until you get old before you share your wisdom. I just felt it was a way of sharing how he got his own bit. And there's lots of words of wisdom in there. But I love the word advantage. So, you don't know what your purpose is. Let's do 3 things. Yeah, there are 3 T's you have. You have time, you have talent, and you have treasures. Yeah, 3 T's. So time is your passion. What just wakes you up at night? What makes you jump up at night? Yeah, or what turns you on in the morning, gives you fire? Yeah, what do you want to do and pursue? I'm not talking something ethical, for God's sake, please. Yeah, something that makes sense. Yeah, not going to steal or do. No, what really fires you up? Yeah, that's probably where you're going to spend most of your time on. And if you're not spending your time on it, that's probably where your passion lies. Yeah, purpose. Once you understand that, and you can start asking yourself those questions, it's not an answer you'll get today. It's a journey sometimes. It could be a journey that you just have to be quiet over a weekend or in your quiet spaces and just discover and refine as you go along. What are your talents? Yeah, when we were young, we were told, no, don't play football or you go to university. You must study your book. You can't do this. Can you see what the footballers are earning now? Yeah. Don't be a musician. Yeah, don't do art. Don't do this. Don't do. Can you see what they're earning now? Yeah, exactly. So what would take you like 40, 50 years to do? They've already done it in 6 months. Yeah, they just break out like that and bingo, they're there. Yeah. So what are your talents? Can you see? Bezalel's talent was to do artistic work. If you search within yourself, you will see it. You will see where those strengths lie. And what are your treasures? Your treasure is not money. Sometimes. Money is good. I'm not knocking money. I'm not anti-money. Don't get me wrong. In fact, God, I believe what Sister Helen said, God wants to bless us immensely. And when God blesses you, when God blesses you, the beauty of God, I say, God, for those, is a trained engineer. So, you deal with numbers and, so people do addition. Yeah? This man, he has this amount. This woman has that amount. He added together. He's doubled it. He's tripled it. No. God doesn't do those kind of stuff. God does exponential. If God wants to bless you, he will put it to the power of like 20. Then everybody will know. Otherwise, then you just did it yourself now. So really, I really do. So that treasure is not necessarily money. It can be the networks you have. Don't undermine your networks. I have a small. That network can open up opportunity, just a word of advice, a phone call, whatever it is. Yeah, it can just open it up. It may not. It's God, but if you don't sweat it, if you don't look around you, you will never sweat that network. That network may be leaving England and going back to Ghana or Nigeria or wherever and coming back. I don't know, but you have to find out. So you owe yourself that because you're not on earth just by mistake or to drift. Yeah, you're here to fulfill a purpose. Yeah, just imagine Martin Luther King. Yeah, imagine if he just decided, no, I'm going to be a plumber. Or Albert Einstein. Yeah, World War II may not have stopped. Now, his formula caused other problems that we are dealing with today. Yeah. Or Nelson Mandela just says, I just want to be a nice town lawyer. Yeah. South Africa will still continue the way it is. So that fire, that passion, can you see it's all coming together? Drives that purpose. Yeah. I think people say, and what drives all of this is that it's what you repeatedly do. Excellence, yeah, it's not a chance, it's what you do. Yeah, what we repeatedly do. Yeah. So I talk about mission there, that you must set up a personal mission. So by the time you go through those 3 T's, yeah, what you spend your time on, your talents, yeah, and your treasures, set up a personal mission. What does, that sounds like, gosh, what's a personal mission? You can see what they're doing there. Yeah, I just deliberately quoted 3, Adidas. Our purpose is that through sport, we will have the power to change lives. Google says its mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. What is yours? Yeah, and, to set up a mission is quite interesting because it's not just a statement. It is talking about almost, what you have to do to get to the end game, what you have to do to get to the end game. So don't say my mission is to preach I want to be a pastor. That is such a shock. It's so, no, your mission is to depopulate hell. Can you see how you broaden it? How you depopulate hell could be, I will be a pastor. Yeah? I will go and become a missionary in this space. So open it up. So that way you don't box yourself in. Can you see how they opened up theirs? Yeah, so they don't box themselves in, and it gives you a chance to go on a journey. Yeah? And embrace purpose, because purpose crosses disciplines. Essential element. Yeah. Now, all of that is great. You can have that purpose, but what about your values? This is your advantage as a Christian, ironically. I was fortunate a few years back to go on a course at Harvard by, it's now passed, is by the guy, you guys must have heard of the word disruption a lot. Disruption is the guy who started the theory of disruption about 25 years ago, Chris Christopherson. He's actually a Christian as well. And his great disruption was that he was just looking all the time there. Look, you see established companies, yeah? They're doing well, like Kodak and Co. Yeah? And all of a sudden, another company comes from the bottom. Bang! Out. Yeah? Yeah. So you saw the car manufacturers, they panicked when Tesla came, because everybody's now led the theory of disruption. Yeah? So everybody's now doing electric cars. So before they realize it, we're all doing electric cars. Now, he was working on a piece of work, which is quite interesting, before he passed on, apparently. The piece of work is that he believes very strongly that those who have Christian values, tend to do much, much better in business on a consistent basis. So he didn't quite finish that work, but if you get a chance and you can grab it, then please, it's quite interesting. So your faith is a competitive advantage, but you have to use it to your own ethical value, because that's what sets you apart. It's easy if every society has its level of morality, tolerance, corruption, whatever, and if you've been following the news, you know what's been happening with the politicians and all of that. Yeah. We have it at perhaps a different dimension, maybe in Africa. So imagine if God says you have to go back there, and they say, this is how we do things, and you don't have your ethics. You're going to go downhill. You're just going to be one of them. Yeah. But God is able to bless you regardless. So why don't you be one of people that God will bless, and they'll say, how did they get it? They'll be looking for where you stole the money or what you did, and they can't find it because there's nothing. I know it's hard. But that is where the power of God comes out. So your values are very, very important. The power of God is very important. All the things we learned about trying to be kind, trying to be courageous, trying to share, trying to be honest, have integrity as much as we can. Yes, I know life can be hard and there are boundaries, but that's why we pray. That's why we have faith. That's why we have other people with us. But you must have those. And I've been very fortunate that I have those. I mean, you've heard Pastor Mbakwe preach, you've heard people around all through Sister Helen. I mean, those are the stuff I grew up on. Yeah. And, teach a child the way he should go, and when he grows up, he will not depart from it, isn't it? And it's very, very interesting that you never depart from those things. Then know your seasons. Because you can't just do things randomly. Yeah? There are times when you should do certain things. So I can't be 70 now saying, oh, my purpose is to be a footballer. I want to be a striker. There's a purpose for a 70-year-old. So find your purpose based on your season. And you see, this issue of seasons, I know it very well, because in the last year I decided, I've been toying with my wife that I want to be a farmer. She said, you're going to be a useless farmer. And all of that. So I've been toying probably for like 20 years, yeah? And I finally got a chance to be sort of almost a farmer. I started this year, so I planted some seeds. I planted them in March, so I was 3 weeks too late. Anyway, move on very quickly. Went to the garden, grew them, Then, is anybody a farmer here? Did anyone try planting anything, giving herbs? No, herbs, okay. This year it was really bad. Yeah, the tomatoes didn't turn yellow. Yeah, So I was kicking myself so hard, So then she had to tell me, hey, you see, everybody says, well, this year is bad. The tomatoes didn't turn yellow, the peppers didn't turn red, and all of those stuff. Yeah? But I got some harvest. Yeah. So that's an encouragement. But return on investment, return on time was terrible. Terrible. Yeah, but season is very, very important. Yeah, to do the right things at the right time. Yeah, and seasons come back. So if you miss a season, it comes back. So you can see a lot of what I'm talking about today is not, you have to take it in and reflect. And just go over it in your own space, in your own time. And as you reflect on it, I pray the Spirit of God will just come and bring the clarity that you need to identify that purpose and your personal mission. So, no man is an island. You seek help. You need help. Yeah, believe you me, you can't fix problems all by yourself. Yeah, so don't be afraid to ask for help. What's the worst they'll do? They won't give you the help. So what? God will bring another person. And if the other person doesn't do it, God will do it. That's where our faith comes in. That's faith at work. It's not more than that. You can't just say faith, God bring the person to me. No. Faith is, God has identified the person to you. So you will go and find the person or the things you need to do. You can't leave this world without fear. Everyone gets scared. If you're going to do great things that nobody's ever done before, you're going to be scared. Are you afraid of the worst that can happen? Why are you afraid? Is it because you don't have a plan? Is it because you've always failed? And because you've always failed, you just think, gosh, this is not going to work. Well, I can remember many projects I've done that are daring, in the corporate world. Like, people will think you're crazy. Why would you dare to do that? But, the power of God allows us to overcome fear. That's, again, faith at work. That's where your faith comes in. And one of the most intriguing stories I was sharing with my children the other day was the story of Joshua. I'm fair. Yeah. When Joshua became the leader of Israel, what was the first thing God said to him? Do not be afraid. And I laughed, I was afraid. I laughed. I said, look at this guy, this Joshua guy has been with Moses. Yeah. Do you remember when they went send spies to the promised land? Yeah. He was there. He was one of those who went to the promised land. Yeah. If you are caught as a spy, you know what will happen now. Yeah. In most of the battles that Israel fought, Joshua was there. Joshua was the general. And so if you're talking about somebody who should be fearless, it should be Joshua. And the first thing God said to him is, oh, you guy, you're afraid. So it's natural, but you have to overcome it. You have to pray about it. And it is the words of the devil. So which report are you going to believe? Is the report of God. Yeah, that you are strong. Yeah, and aligned with faith. Yeah, seek godly wisdom in your action. Be discerning. Yeah, give life your best shot. So I'm not here to give you financial advice. Yeah, that's a different realm entirely. But you have to save up. However small, just start. You have to, wherever possible, have pension. If you're in debt, we have to pray and reduce those debts. Because those are the foundations that you have to get over. Yeah, and I hope. Okay, that was Joshua's quote, and I hope that you will be able to say this, hopefully, even before the end of your life. That's by Chadwick Boseman, which many of you know. Yeah, Wakanda, that film. That quote reminds me of the story of the talents. The guy who had 5 doubled it. The guy who had 2 doubled it. The guy who had 1. But look at what this guy said. He said, when I stand God at the end of my life, I would hope that I will not have a single bit of talent left. So that means you understand your purpose. You're going to pursue that purpose with passion energy and fire that God has given you. And you will tell God, I used it up. In fact, right now, I hope very soon you'll be telling God, give me more. Thank you very much.